Yeah. Mm.
You're just making noises now.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't fully agree that the brother doesn't believe her. Can you imagine? Hold on. Cool your jets there. Can you imagine for 17 years being told something?
In 2002, Sophia Johnson had a new husband, a baby on the way, and a fresh start on life.
But when her mother-in-law was brutally murdered, Sophia was accused by her own brother of the crime.
She claims she's innocent.
Decades later, can she overcome this?
We're previewing Beyond All Repair.
That's on this episode of So Much Crime,
So Little Time. Welcome to So Much Crime, So Little Time. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Dee, and in this episode, we'll introduce you to Beyond All Repair from WBUR. From WBUR, Boston Public Radio. That was really uncomfortable for me to say.
I forget that you can't say certain letters or combinations of letters.
I can say them, but I can say them the Irish way.
If you haven't listened to Beyond All Repair, that is great. This is one of our preview episodes.
Here we only discuss episode 1 and introduce the series. No spoilers for what's to come.
You'll also find a link to Beyond All Repair in our show notes.
In our next episode, we'll discuss the whole series. But right now, we just want to decide if this is a crime that is worth your time.
All right, Dee, before we get to the crime, and this is a pretty dark crime, let's do something a little bit lighter and hop in the time machine. So this crime happened on January 10th, 2002 in Brush Prairie, which is in Clark County, Washington, which, just as a point of reference, is just north of Portland, Oregon in southern Washington state. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, let me do a restaurant review for you.
Okay.
All right. So again, I went to Clark County and I looked, and there were only 2 restaurants in Brush Prairie where this crime occurred. And one of them had a review that I thought was fascinating. So I wanted to share it with you. So there's a review, short review, and there's a response from the owner. Okay. This is from someone named Mary Moore, who has 10 reviews. This was posted about a year ago. And this is from a restaurant called the Prairie Tavern, which has 4.2 stars on Google out of almost 1,300 reviews. So very well-rated tavern. And she said, and now this is an 87-word review, which is short for the ones I bring you. This is on the short side. I'm going to read it to you, and then the question I'm going to ask you is, how many exclamation points do you think she uses? The clue is, it's a lot. It's a lot for 87 words. Are you ready? I'm not going to... She has some all caps, quite a few all caps. I'll tell you the all caps.
But you're going to keep it. You're going to keep it calm.
I'm not going to emote what I feel like. I'm not going to do a dramatic
This is like
reading.
A dry read, kind of. We're not. Okay.
Yeah. It starts off, first sentence, all caps. Not good on all accounts. Then she tones down the capitalization. Order a small picture of beer and a medium veggie pizza, and they charged $2 per vegetable. The worst part is they put a tone, T-O-N-E, of jalapenos and cilantro on it. Quote, hate both. End quote. Tastes like crap. Then they automatically charged each person who orders a 20% gratuity you're unaware of. That sentence is a grammatical mess. Okay, now back to all caps. This is not right. We decide if we want to tip. Still all caps. She said she would take it off and did not. Still all caps. You will be sorry you went. Now, losing the all caps, $81 was way too much. That's the end of the review. Okay, before I read the response from the owner, which you're going to love, in those 87 words, how many exclamation points do you think she used? I can tell you how many sentences if you'd like. There are
24.
5, 6. There are 7 or 8 sentences depending on how you break it up.
24.
That's too low. That's way too low.
61.
That's too high. 37. 37 exclamation points. Yeah, so the exclamation point to word ratio is basically like 1 to 2.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that first
That's
sentence,
too
not
many.
good on all accounts, has about 9 exclamation points.
Whoa. I counted 5 in my head after that one.
All right, here's the response from the owner, which was posted almost immediately. Hi, Mary.
Mm.
And this response has no exclamation points, no all caps. Hi, Mary. We're saddened to hear this. Your husband requested that we put every topping we have on your pizza. Had we known that you wanted every topping except cilantro and jalapenos, we absolutely would have obliged. Okay, it gets better. You were part of a group of 25. As stated on the menu, along with the price of additional pizza toppings, there is a 20% group gratuity added to parties of 10 or more. Also, let me just pause here. I feel like the normal standard is parties of 6 or more.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's 10 or more and they had 25 people and were surprised that there was an automatic gratuity. Have you never gone out with a group before? Okay.
Or like read a menu.
We regret that there was still confusion over that. The organizer of your party sent a very nice email following the event, complimenting the experience and the service. We're disappointed to hear that you don't agree and hope that you'll get the chance to try again in the future. We'd love to make it up to you. Is that not like the most like calm?
The perfect response to someone who's losing their shit.
Like, I want to go to the Prairie Tavern in Clark County, Washington, just to support them for having such a calm. Also, like, look, your husband said put all the shit you have on this pizza. He didn't say anything. Also, there's a picture. Oh, I didn't mention this. There's a picture of the pizza. I should send this to you. I want to hear your reaction when you see this. So remember what she said. So she specifically said, the worst part is they put a tone of jalapenos and cilantro on it.
You gotta stop leaning into the lack of spelling here.
Okay.
So there's lots of people who can't spell.
I'm going to take a picture of this and send it to you so you can respond to this in real time.
Okay.
I'm
ready.
Great.
Jeff. She had half of the frickin' pizza and she's given out about it.
Also, she's taken the jalapenos and she's put them like in detention or whatever, like in the sad corner, the timeout corner on the side. I count 5 jalapenos. And yes, there is cilantro, and I understand cilantro is a polarizing flavor.
Yeah, but also, honestly, this pizza looks so good. I want it.
Right. Mary, calm yourself down. All right. That's what I have for you. I was very proud of that.
But like, she ate half the pizza.
Sure, she did. Also, like,
so,
it was
like,
clearly her husband ordered it. He has put all the shit you have on it.
But this does my nut in when people give out about food and they don't send it back in a restaurant. She had half the pizza. Mary from Prairie County and Clark County. Fuck's sake. Get a grip.
You had 25 people in your party.
Yeah. Eat their pizza if you don't like yours.
Be thankful they sat you down.
I love that. Thank you so much. Okay, Jeff, I'm going down a slightly different path. So this is wild. And in a way, I feel like some of we haven't got into a lot of what's going to happen here. But what it felt to me was at the crux of this was kind of an unbelievable story in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you know, when you're trying to say something and people don't believe you.
Sure.
And so that's the theme of what we're doing here. We're going to talk about some stories that are so unbelievable, but they're actually factual.
Okay.
From around the globe.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. Close your eyes. Put yourself in Australia. You don't actually have to close your eyes. I know you didn't. It's 1932.
Okay.
A great war breaks out.
1932.
Yep.
All right.
So the background of this is, right, after World War I, the Australian government encouraged veterans to take up farming in Western Australia. Okay?
Sure.
This is the setup for this.
All right.
Something happened that led protest. Okay? And that protest led to a bizarre military operation. You know this story.
Is this the emu
There's
story?
a reason. It is the emu story.
Yeah.
It's the Great Emu War of 1932. So I knew you knew that because I know that we have a lesson on that. But
yes, we do.
For anyone who doesn't know, basically what happened is all these farmers set up shop and they start farming. And then randomly, per my research, which was very, in depth, an estimated 20,000 emus decided the new farmland that the veterans had set up was a great place to settle down and eat the wheat crops. So, Jeff, the Royal Australian Artillery was deployed with machine guns to take on the flightless birds.
Oh,
what happened? Who won?
First of all, I think you're describing, just to say the flightless birds makes them sound like chickens. Emus are dinosaurs. Emus are terrifying. Have you been near an emu?
Jeff, which of the two of us has been in Australia?
You.
Okay. Yes.
Have you gotten into a fight with an emu?
Have I gotten into a fight?
Yeah.
Not that I can remember, but there's some hazy nights. Who knows
Stuff
what
happens in Australia. Wait, are you asking me who won the war? The Great Emu War?
Mm.
I mean, the soldiers had machine guns, and the emus were just terrifying dinosaur birds.
Mm-hmm.
I would bet on the emus.
The soldiers were completely outmaneuvered by the birds, and the war was officially declared a failure, resulting in very few emu casualties, but a lot of wasted ammunition.
I should note, I am terrified of giant birds like this. Ostriches, emus, they are horrifying and will mess you up.
Taking note. Things that scare Jeff.
If you show up one day in like a full-size emu costume, I will just leave the room. Quickly.
Emu costume? I'll show up with a lead, and at the end of that lead will be an emu, obviously.
I don't have to worry about that because you'll be dead. It'll kill you. Giant clawed feet. They're like velociraptors.
All right, next one, we're in Boston. Boston. You know Boston.
Sure.
Yeah. USA, 1919. There was a big flood.
The molasses flood. The Great Molasses Flood. Yeah, familiar with that.
We're going on to the next one.
It still smells on hot days of molasses.
This one I really enjoy because...
Wait, what are you really going to go on for the molasses flood? This is a fascinating story.
Okay, well, give us the TLDR.
A molasses factory in Boston exploded. And
tell us what molasses is, in case you don't know.
Molasses is like it's a thick liquid sugar product, and like you use it in baking.
Okay.
But they heated it up, and so it was like hot. So it's thick, it's sticky, it's brown, it's gross, it smells like, it smells not terrible. It's a sugar, it's a syrupy kind of, like it's thicker than like a syrup you put on your pancakes. And anyway, the factory exploded. Hot molasses came flooding through the streets. People were killed. People died in this.
Yeah, 21.
Yeah.
Injured 150s. 100.
And of course, imagine so aside from obviously the deaths are tragic, but like imagine trying to clean up a giant molasses flood in a city.
It's like maple syrup is pretty hard to clean up off like a counter or off a plate.
So imagine like millions of gallons of that just flowing down the streets and like how sticky and gross and smelly it was for decades and decades after that. So they say you can still smell it on really hot days in Boston. I don't think that's true, but yeah, it's a great story. It's a tragic story, but fascinating.
Okay. The next story, Jeff. So I have 6 of these, by the way. That's what I was trying to skip over the last one. You wouldn't let me. All right. Now we're in Japan. It's 1945. Any ideas of what happened in Japan in 1945?
The Great Wasabi Flood of... No, I don't know.
Okay. No. This is about a man who survived 2 events. Same event twice. Any ideas?
What's
1945.
the year?
1945.
Both atomic bombs?
Yeah.
Whoa. Really?
I know. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to butcher this guy's name, so I apologize. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was a Japanese marine engineer, right? And he was on a business trip in Hiroshima when the first atomic bomb was dropped. He was only about 2 miles from ground zero and suffered serious burns and ruptured eardrums. So he managed to get on a train and travel back to his hometown of Nagasaki.
Yeah. Oh,
3 days later, August 9th, he was in his office apparently describing the horrific events to his supervisor, who kind of didn't believe his wild story.
Jesus.
And the second bomb was dropped.
Oh.
He was again close to the blast and survived a second time with only minor injuries.
He survived both.
Yeah. Trying to convince so the takeaway they say is trying to convince your boss that a city was vaporized only for it to happen in your current city a few minutes later is the ultimate "you won't believe me" story. Yamaguchi is the only person officially recognized by the Japanese government as having survived both attacks.
That's a wild story. I did not know.
Isn't it? I know. Okay, 3 more.
Why are we doing these? Because the story we're going to talk about is a wild, unbelievable story?
Well, because people didn't believe her.
Oh, okay. Yep, okay.
You see where I'm going here?
Yep,
okay.
Gotcha.
1950s USA. This is about a man who accidentally invented what?
Can I get like a little clue?
You watch it. It's something related to something you watch.
It's not like a TV.
It's related to a TV. It means you don't have to stand up.
Remote control?
Yes. TV remote. Eugene Poli? Have you heard of him?
No.
It's from Zenith. I don't know where that is. Do you know where Zenith is?
Like Zenith?
Yeah. Where's that?
That's a brand of TV. It used to be. I don't think it still is.
Oh, sorry. He was an engineer who worked for them. I thought he was from there.
That's a brand of TV.
I don't know. Never had that
Maybe
brand.
Maybe it's also a town. I don't know. I don't know where the name came from.
All right. So he was kind of tasked with figuring out how to make people lazier, right?
Sure.
So he designed the Flashmatic. Do you remember this having been, around in the 1950s? No. Poli's final design was Flashmatic. He used a beam of light to trigger sensors in the 4 corners of the TV screen. So basically, to change the channel, you had to kind of aim this gun at the sensors.
Okay.
Bizarrely, what could infiltrate this and change the TV without you trying to use a remote?
The power of your thoughts. ESP.
No. Shockingly not. Not yet. Growth mindset.
Microwaves didn't exist, I don't think. Atomic bombs weren't going off in many
This
homes.
thing definitely existed a long time before and a long time after.
1950s.
Still, in fact, exist today.
A thing that also could change the channel on a TV?
Yeah. You're overthinking this. I'm going to reread this. Hold on. The final design used a beam of light to trigger sensors in the 4 corners of the TV screen. Nope.
Beam of light. Beam of light. What else would be a beam of light?
What was the first beam of light to ever exist?
Sun?
Yes. On a bright sunny day, if sunlight hit the sensors of the TV, it could accidentally change the channel or mute the sound, leading to a flood of customer complaints.
Look, sometimes the sun just doesn't like what you're
apparently
watching.
People would call in and say, my TV is possessed or the sun is changing my channels.
Sure. Yeah. That's why we keep our TV away from the windows.
It's amazing. So that's it. That's the could you hardly believe it segment.
I can hardly believe it. Yeah.
Hardly believe it.
What a journey that was.
You're welcome.
All right. That was
Do you want to talk about molasses more and Boston?
It's a fascinating story. That was our time machine for today, January 10th, 2002, Clark County, Washington. All right, Deep. Before we get to our discussion on Beyond All Repair, I want to share something with our listeners. And I know this is maybe going to be hard to hear, but okay, so you just got done listening to our time machine and you thought, wow, that was amazing. I love this show so much. How could it possibly be better? And the bad news is you missed part of it. Don't go back. Don't hit that back button on your podcast app. It wasn't there. The problem was that part you missed was a great part of the time machine. It was over on patreon.com/SoMuchCrime, so little time. You got to go over to Patreon to hear parts of the time machine that weren't in this episode. That happens every single Time Machine. We always put an extra part, a great part. It's not that that part is bad. Sometimes it's the part D does, which is, maybe not the best part. Sometimes it's the part I do. And it's great.
Hold on. Are you challenging me to a duel? Should we put up on Patreon who brings more energy and joy to the podcast?
Yeah, let's do it. Go over to patreon.com/somuchcrime, so little time, and weigh in whose Time Machine clips on Patreon are better. And you can leave a comment.
Hold on a second, though. You edit them. So, I feel like you've got the power to make me look bad, and you look good in this case.
I'm just saying, go over there, check them out, sign up for one of our Patreon plans, enjoy those. You also get other stuff. There's other outtakes. There's episodes that come out early. You also get access to swag. The swag is great. When someone asks you about, like, where'd you get that awesome t-shirt, you can say, hey, there's this guy, Jeff. He does this amazing podcast. There's this Irish woman. She's there too. But this guy,
who knows her name? It's very complicated to say.
Who can even say? It's one of those letters. It's like B or C or something. I don't know. Anyway, patreon.com/somuchcrime, solo time. Go check it out.
Or P.
All right, Dee, let's talk about Beyond All Repair. So this podcast came out in 2024. The host is Amory Siverston. There are 10 episodes. There's also at least one bonus episode as of our recording. The episodes vary in length. They're anywhere from about half an hour to about an hour in length. But give us a quick rundown of what happened in that first episode.
Yeah, so first episode we meet Shane. He was born in the Bronx, but he fled an abusive home and went to Washington State with his mother and sister. He was profiled by our host in 2017, actually, for a different podcast, for a story on homelessness. So then he kind of, in that profile, brings up his sister, Sophia, alluding to a complicated story that happened. Amory discusses it but leaves it. Then later, Shane contacts Amory saying Sophia's ready to talk. So we hear then about his sister Sophia, about Shane's sister Sophia. In 2002, she was newly married and 6 months pregnant when her mother-in-law was brutally murdered. Sophia at the time was convicted of the crime, but she claims and has always claimed she didn't do it. We're now 20 years later, and Sophia is seeking redemption. That's kind of the summary of this one. Jeff, this was really different.
Yeah,
to other first episodes we've listened to. I feel like a lot of first episodes would start somewhere in the middle, and then maybe the second episode would bring you back to tell you the how story, like how we got there. But this episode didn't do that.
This is not like anything else I think we've listened to.
Yeah. In story, but also in how it was presented.
Well, let's talk about that, because I
fucking love an NPR podcast, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah. For all the years I lived in Boston, hearing WBUR was just like so like in my brain, right? Like,
is it like KQED?
Yeah, now it's KQED. Yeah, it is. We went on a journey, and this was just one episode of 10. Like, I feel like there was a whole story about Shane and his life in 10 minutes of this podcast. Like, I feel like we got a complete, fascinating, tragic, but also like ultimately a success story, right? Like, what you didn't say in your summary, but just to kind of expand on that was, so we hear about Shane. So Amory, our host, had previously met him, did this other podcast, talked to him about his experience with homelessness. He, as a child, his family, they were Jehovah's Witnesses. They lived in the Bronx. He fled that home with his mother and sister, went all the way across the country to Washington State. And then at some point he comes out to his mother as gay, and she basically turns on him. There's this line that I was driving and listening to this, and actually this was you talk about NPR and like driveway moments. I pulled over to the side of the road to write this down because this was so affecting. his mother said, "Why is it my children become my worst fears?" That just hit me I mean, that was so devastating. And then she stopped talking to him. She would put his meals outside his door. And then shortly after that, so he's a high school student, I think. It's not specifically said, but I think he's a high school student when this happens. He's definitely he hasn't graduated from high school because he basically stops going to class.
Mm-hmm.
He had been a strong student and he sort of just his life is in a bad place. And then his sister, who I presume is his older sister, gets accused of murdering her mother-in-law. And so now he's lost his sister because she goes to jail. His mother doesn't talk to him. And those are the two people that he had fled New York with. And so he goes back to New York. He's homeless. He kind of scrapes his life together. We don't hear all of that story, but it's just sort of bits and pieces. By the time we catch up with him, he has a job in the DA's office, district attorney's office in New York. And then we kind of pivot to his sister's story. That, just the Shane part, that's a whole thing. It's a whole emotional journey. And then, yeah, I mean, we should talk about Sophia, but yeah, what did you think of the Shane part?
It felt, I don't know. Yeah, like you said, it was like an episode in itself nearly, wasn't it? It's like the first segment of This American Life or something, this is this story and then this is this story, but they're connected. They're the same freaking family. And it was devastating. The mother leaving the food out and, that response to her child. She obviously left an abusive situation. So I can imagine that, she was dealing with her own stuff. But I just I don't know, the mother-child thing. And this is going to come up again with Sophia. What were we going to say? Go on.
Well, but what I skipped over was the opening of the episode, which are these voicemails from the father and brother making these threats about talking to a journalist. The journalist, it turns out, is Amory, our host. And these are dark threats.
The mother acting the way she did to Shane. And then you've the voice notes or the voicemails that start. I suppose what do you expect of someone who grows up in such abuse and such vitriol? If that's how you can speak as an adult to your own child.
Sure. Yeah.
It feels unshocking in a way that I feel like should be shocking that someone could speak like that. And I do think probably the parts for me that ring so true or not so true that hit so close to home are when we talk about a mother's relationship with their child. That's always what gets me. So with Shane's story with his mother disowning her and or disowning him and saying it with such, it felt like the way he was saying it, the way he was portraying it was that his mother said it kind of her inside thoughts out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. To have those inside thoughts is so upsetting, especially if you've escaped abuse, to think that you don't see that being safe and being happy inside yourself and it is so much more important than all of the other stuff. Having escaped such a situation, it's just very heartbreaking for me to think that a child would feel so abandoned and so judged by their parent and for a parent to, I don't know, that really breaks my heart. And then later when we hear Sophia, basically the crux of why she is trying to get her story out there right now is because, yeah, as you said at the start, she was pregnant when all this happened. She was 6 months pregnant. She never met her son. She obviously met her son when son was born. But she hasn't met her son.
She had the baby while she was in jail.
Yeah, so she hasn't met her son in 20 years. And we heard that in previous, what was the podcast we did?
Firescape.
The doula.
Or the doula one was Criminal, Tabitha.
Oh,
Tabitha was the episode. Criminal was the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. And we hear about the doula in prison. And so we hear a little bit about what some people's experience can be like with that. And it's so traumatic and horrendous. And to hear that, you know, she's going through all this and she's seeking this to clear her name for her child. And I don't know, there's some sort of like a full circle moment here, even though it's two separate people, like Shane and his sister. But for her sister to be like, oh no, I need to do this for my child, even though by the sounds of it, you can assume if Shane is telling us these stories, that his sister grew up in an abusive house with a lot of anger and resentment and callous words, which the other brother and the dad is still spewing towards them. And for her to just be solely focused on her son, it's just this interesting, like, it's not a full circle because she's not going into the abusive, you know, evil speak, but I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's this coming back together of the story.
Yeah. And yes. What I feel like is interesting about that is so much of this is implicit and not explicit. Like, I think your point about this sort of like what is sort of said but not dwelled on is the fact that they left this life in the Bronx. She had other children. She left some of her other children with the father. It wasn't just these two kids. I think it was like two other brothers that she left behind, and didn't just like leave New York City to go to New Jersey. They went 3,000 plus miles away to Washington. We don't know exactly why. Yeah. We don't know if they had a support system there. We don't know if there was a particular reason why they went there. And it wasn't like they went to another city, right? Like the Bronx is New York City. It's very urban. They didn't go to Seattle. They didn't go to Portland. They went to this tiny little town that is like it has 2 restaurants. We talked about that in the Time Machine. Like it's about as far from the Bronx as you could get. Why? Why did they go there? As far as you could possibly go. Why did she leave a couple of her kids behind? How old were those kids? We don't know. Maybe they were adults. Maybe that's why. But
well, Shane, I think they said the older brother was the other brother.
Okay. But then when we talk about Sophia and her story, yeah, so she's 4 months married, 6 months pregnant. She's 23 years old. There's a story there. How does she end up in this situation? Her mother-in-law gets found. This is what I thought was particularly unusual about this podcast is we've heard other podcasts that start with like a 911 call. We hear a 911 call in this halfway through the episode. It's the call that Sophia and her husband make when they find the mother, right? Like they were supposed to meet the mother for like a meal. She didn't show up. They go to her home. They find her there. And it's a very brief, but it's a very graphic description of how they found her. It sounds like a very violent scene. She was bludgeoned to death horrifically. But that's sort of buried in the middle of the episode. It's not really like dwelled on. But like, okay, what we don't know, what we didn't get at all is how does the daughter-in-law, 6 months pregnant, newly married, 23 years old, why was she the one? Why was she accused? Why, like, presumably she went to prison for this. We know she was in jail when her son was born, and presumably she got convicted of this. That's never said outright. There's a lot of, again, this is a lot of things that are just sort of like implied but not said. Why would she be the one? What was the relationship? What's her backstory? We don't know anything really about her. Just there's so much here. There's just like so much like alluded to but not said.
But it's episode 1.
But I think a different podcast, so many of the podcasts we listen to would put so much more of that out, and this one more just like is in a really, I think, unusual and interesting way, laying a bunch of groundwork in bits and pieces and letting you as a listener sort of connect the dots.
I'm here for it.
No,
I think it's done so, and that's what I was saying at the start. Like, I feel like there's something so intriguing about this because it feels like it's not, we're going to lay the groundwork. We're going to give you a solid foundation and then we'll go into the details. There's so much detail. Like, we hear so much detail about Shane. So like we're starting to picture stuff. At least I was like, I'm starting to picture stuff in my head. And then bump, bump, bump. Like, you've all these different pieces of facts, but they're only like half laid out.
Well,
and there's like fill in the blanks nearly.
Well,
or like free response.
We also hear that Shane, the brother, isn't sure. He isn't going to say one way or the other if he believes that his sister did this or didn't do it. That's a fascinating moment because he is sort of our anchor at the beginning. We hear his story, highly empathetic story, right? Like abusive home, comes out to his mother, abandoned, homeless, so much tragedy and difficulty in his life story. That's the first 10, 15 minutes of this podcast episode. And then, like, I guess I went into this presuming this was going to be a story about a falsely accused woman who has this redemption arc. And I think that's maybe what it is going to be. But her brother doesn't believe her. Maybe.
You're
just making noises now.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't fully agree that the brother doesn't believe her. Can you imagine? Hold on. Cool your jets there. Can you imagine for 17 years being told something? Actually, longer.
Her son is 19 when, this Amory interviewed her over a couple of years, but her son
but can you imagine believing something for like 15 years? Like, and he was an adult, or he was, 16, 17 when this started. So he believes this for like, say 15 to 17 years. And then obviously he gets this relationship with the sister and he starts to unravel it. And he starts to see the darker side of things. And that probably clicks with him, I presume, with what he knows about his own family. But maybe he's still unsure, because if you've been told something and like he said, I kind of let justice, the justice system, that's what I trusted in. But
sure.
And then at the end, he's like, oh, no, I shouldn't have trusted in the justice system. So then he's starting to question it. But it's like, well, do you think she's innocent? And he's like, I don't know if I can say. Like, how can he say with any honesty that he knows one way or the other?
But I guess my bias coming into this was I presume he had some sort of like trauma bonding with his sister. Maybe he didn't. That's projecting. I'm projecting onto him. That wasn't said. But if you told me, and I didn't grow up in a situation anything like what he's described here, but if you said, oh, your sister got accused of violently murdering her mother-in-law, my presumption would be, oh, she definitely didn't do it. I can't, like, what in me would, like, if I told you your brother was one of your brothers. Yeah, but
17. He's 17 when this happens. Like 16,
when you were 17,
and he was growing up in a violent household. Like maybe he saw like really aggressive shouting matches. Maybe he saw so much violence he probably thinks anyone can do anything. And then the other thing, to be fair, his mother, the person he presumably trusted most in the world, turned from him when he came out. So is he going to maybe, like, it feels like he has trust issues. He doesn't want to believe someone who's trying to say something to him, because he's probably like, I don't have that to give.
We sometimes talk about on our preview episodes about how eager we are. Well, actually, we usually talk about how eager we are to keep listening. And in full disclosure, we are recording this episode before our long winter's nap of recording break, where Dee's going to go back to Ireland for a bit, and we'll pick this back up in January. You'll listen to this and hear our recap a few days later, and it'll sound like we just recorded that right away. I am actually mad because in order to properly prepare for the recap episode, I'm going to have to sit on this for like 3 weeks and not listen to it.
You can choose. You could listen to it all in one go and make your notes, and then when we got chatting, you'll remember it. You're not a fish. You're not that old. You've got a bit of a memory still.
This is a me
problem.
2
years left in you.
Yeah.
It is. Who owns the problem?
Yeah, okay. One other thing we haven't talked about yet, which is funny because it's the name of the episode. The name of the episode is Boxes, and has a strong allusion to Lords of Death, because we hear about this box that our host Amory gets from Sophia, which has 13 VHS tapes. And Sophia's like, I won't watch those. Those are of her trial from 2002, or whenever the trial happened, a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really we don't get into those yet in this episode, but I think it's interesting. That's sort of like the framing. I mean, it's the title of the episode and it's alluded to, but yeah, she just has this box. And so we talk about how, and Sophia talks about how her life is like this box. And it's the metaphor, but then it's also literal in the episode. There's so much in this. It's like a 26-minute episode or something. This is a short episode. I listened to this a second time and I was like, wait, how could so much have happened in so little time? Dee, how excited are you to keep listening?
Oh yeah, no, like I'm jumping into this 2 feet as soon as I can.
Yeah. Same.
You?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Are you jumping in 2 feet, or are you like, oh no, I have to like space this out?
No, part of what I was thinking about was like, I know we've been doing this podcast for like, I don't know how long, 1.5 years or so. And I don't know when I got to that point of being so just invested in stories, like true crime stories, that like maybe this is just a really high quality podcast and that's what pulled me in. I think this is. But yeah, I am very eager to find out more about the story, more about these people. And I don't know, I built up a lot of empathy for Shane and Sophia, and I really want to know what happens to them. So yeah, I'm definitely here for this. All right, before we go, just a quick note. If you haven't yet, be sure to leave a rating for our show on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening right now. It really helps other people find the show. Also, leaving comments. We love to hear your thoughts. You can either leave a comment on Spotify or Apple. Leave us a review. You can write to us. Our email address is in the notes. If you aren't already following us on social media, so we're on Instagram, TikTok, we're on YouTube. Go there, follow us. Leave us comments there. We love to hear from you. And lastly, be sure to tell friends about the episode, about the show, whatever you want. We love to hear it. Thank you. Next time, what led to Sophia being accused of murdering her mother-in-law and this family being torn apart?
And is redemption possible for her?
We're recapping Beyond All Repair.
That's on the next So Much Crime.
So Little Time.
So Much Crime, So Little Time is a production of MimeGov Media. The executive producer is Paxton Calariso. Our associate producer is Blythe Ty. Theme music was composed by Vyacheslav Starostin. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to this show in your podcast app. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and a review. Even better, tell your friends. To join the discussion, look for us on social media. Check out the show notes for all the links. Thanks for listening.